Anyway, while I was in the bathroom on the toilet looking through Twitter, I came across this here. Really quick segment. It's a Keem versus Boogie thing, but I'm kind of curious about it. So Boogie posted this here, and it says, to those of you who worry, oh my God, I can't speak. To those of you worried about kids being groomed by going to drag shows, be careful. I've discovered a form of grooming at every single sporting event in America. They call them cheerleaders. Disgusting. Exposing our kids to sexuality at such a young age. Okay. So then this is what Boogie follows up with this here.
Keemstar just said, this is the internet, and you have to. Keemstar just said.
Oh, okay. I guess it comes after Keemstar says something. Keemstar gets a response here. So Keemstar says, not the same. Bad comparison. I've never seen a cheerleader groping kids on the fields. I've never seen a drag star groping kids either, but okay. Like, I've seen some of these over-the-top sexual drag shows interacting with kids. That being said, not all drag shows are like that, so they shouldn't all be demonetized or demonized. Then Keem continues to say, also because this is Twitter, you have to explain every little detail, otherwise people will fucking fill in the blanks. I've never been to any of these shows. I've just seen videos of them being exposed on Twitter. Okay, so I'm assuming he's referring to the Drag Your Kids to Pride thing where they were like handing them dollar bills and stuff. And then this is what Boogie has to say, and then I'll weigh in on
it. This is the internet, and you have to explain everything, or else people fill in the blanks. So let me point out exactly the point that I was trying to make with this tweet. I personally think that the Dallas show, the one with the "it won't lick itself" sign, went too far. Okay. And I don't necessarily think that's something we should be taking kids to. However, there are plenty of events that involve drag queens and pride parades and things along that lines that do not expose kids to that stuff. There's always going to be outliers, right? There's plenty of straight people who abuse kids, who do terrible shit, right? We're not going to condemn every straight person. We shouldn't condemn every gay person, every drag queen, every LGBTQ person. I personally do not have kids, but if I had kids, I would not take them to any drag show. I would also not take...
Why? That's my question, is why?
Take them to a sporting event that was exclusively about cheerleaders dancing in provocative ways.
Why? This is the thing, is like, I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't like it when people just say, like, why? Is there a why?
That's not something I would personally choose to do.
Why?
I think that's up to the individual parent.
Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? Why? This is a really... Okay.
And I do think it's a little hypocritical to say, well, a non-sexualized drag show with just the girls singing and performing and doing their thing, as opposed to a non-sexualized cheerleader show, I don't really see the difference. I don't.
Why?
I do think the one in Dallas was sexualized, though, and I do think it was too far. And I personally don't think people should be taking their kids to something like that.
Why?
However,
why?
I think it's possible to believe that,
oh my
and
God.
Also believe that most drag queens are just people living their lives. They're not disgusting perverts. They're not there to harm kids.
I'm going to explain why the why matters after.
Kids, even if there are outliers out there. Most drag queens are just people living their lives. They're not disgusting perverts. They're not there to harm kids. Even if there are outliers out there, I think it's okay that drag queens are allowed to exist. And maybe occasionally read a storybook to a kid.
Okay, so the reason I keep saying why is because, like, this is one of those situations you'd call fence sitting. This is what you'd call fence sitting. Because if you can't, these are very, like, why wouldn't you take your kid to a drag show? Why do you feel that drag show was so sexualized? Why do you feel things are the way they are? So what it sounds like to me is he's like, well, here's a really reasonable sounding position. I wouldn't take my kids to a drag show, but you should be able to go to a drag show. And I typically agree, or tend to agree, but I'll give you why. Do you want to know why I wouldn't take my kid to a drag show? Because, especially my young boy, if I had a boy, because I don't want him to be feminine. That's why I wouldn't want my young boy to go to a drag show and go, I really like that. I want to grow up and do that, because I don't want that to happen. Now, me saying that instantly exposes a what was the word you'd use? Like, I guess some kind of fuck, I can't think of the word. What is the word that I'm looking for? There's a specific word. It's like such a simple word. It's not like a preference. Prejudice. Thank you. It shows a prejudice against basically feminizing boys. And you could say, like, oh, that's not right, because in society, feminine boys and masculine girls should exist fine. But you want to know what? I don't want my kid to be a feminine boy. I have absolutely no factual foundation for that, other than I just don't like it. I have a prejudice. I don't want, and like if I saw a feminine guy on the street, I have zero problems with him. Wouldn't want my kid to be it's my kid. It is my child. I would not. I don't want a feminine boy. I think to me, I would find it like kind of weak, and that's me dealing with my own prejudice. But you know, Boogie's not going to say that because this is what fence sitting is, bro. Like it doesn't make you look good when you're like, yeah, I have a prejudice against like I don't have a prejudice against like feminine men. I just personally don't want a feminine boy. Like I can't. I don't know why. I wouldn't want to be feminine, right? Maybe it's because I associate masculinity with strength and femininity with like non-strength. But that's the reality. I wouldn't want one. And so the whys are really important. The why was that that show sexualized, the drag show, the Drag Your Kids of Pride? It's specifically because it was in a nightclub with a sign that says "Don't you know it won't lick itself." Too sexualized. The dancing really it was sexualized. It was the same. Here's the thing: there were dancers there, for instance, dressed like Dua Lipa, and that this dancing was very provocative and sexual. That's the exact same dancing that happens at a Dua Lipa concert. Have you not seen Dua Lipa? Like her whole entire ass is out. Okay, so you can't really say like this is wrong because it's sexualized, but then not care about Dua Lipa concerts. Nobody gives a fuck about concerts with like Dua Lipa or Ariana Grande because you want to know why? Because most of the time it's your young girls going and they don't really care if young girls are exposed to like overly sexualized shit. It's the same reason why nobody gives a fuck about cheerleading. It's the reality. Dude, cheerleading is not good. Like, we want to talk about the grooming argument. Like, I don't think that you should bring your fucking boys to drag. I don't think you should bring your girls, or I don't think you should bring anybody to cheerleading. Cheerleading is just, bro, do you have like little fucking 12-year-old girls cheerleading at these events? Like, that's conditioning them to be like, yeah, my body's a sexual object, and I should do that when I get older. Same thing with fucking beauty contests, bro. It's disgusting. I'm not bringing my young girl to some beauty contest to show them that they can fucking like exploit and sexualize their own body. That's not a life anybody wants to live. I'm sure these girls are doing just fine. But like, it's weird that we teach girls to do cheer when they're fucking children. It's weird. And it is what it is. And the thing is our society doesn't give a fuck. Our society doesn't really give a fuck about exposing young girls to overly sexualized shit. So then you want to know what? You don't get to, as a society, cry about exposing your fucking boys to overly sexualized shit. Okay? It's only upsetting when you're exposing your young boys to gay sexualization. When it comes to like straight sexualization, nobody gives a fuck. If it's a bunch of young girls shaking their fucking asses and shit, it's okay for little boys to watch that. But if it's a fucking grown woman shaking their shit off, it's totally fine for a young boy to look at it. But if it's a guy, all of a sudden we have a meltdown. It doesn't really. The shit doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, a lot of the shit that in our society that's normal is overly sexualized and fucking disgusting. But we don't give a fuck until it's a gay guy doing it. I don't think that you should have a child-exclusive drag show. That's fucking insane. Just like I don't think you should have like you shouldn't have dude, cheerleading is so, I don't know. It's so sexualized. It's the same as drag. It's just that it's more uncomfortable because it's gay. Like, it's really what it comes down to. And you'd actually make the arguments like, yeah, but cheer is at a football event, and like then it's like the central part of it. Okay, that's a fair argument. I get that. But still, like, what about beauty pageants? A lot of people say, yeah, those are bad too. But then where's the public outcry? Where's the fucking legislation trying to ban beauty pageant? It's not there, bro. It's not there. It doesn't exist. There's only legislation trying to ban fucking drag. And again, I wouldn't bring my kid to a drag show because I have a prejudice. Okay? I don't want my fucking kid to be feminine. Okay? That's it. But I'm not going to create a whole goddamn fucking system that I'm not going to create a law against it. Socially advocate, that's fine. But I'm not going to create a goddamn law against it. But like, really think about all the weird shit that we do in society. You know, you're talking about drag grooming kids. Listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole. Religion is grooming kids then. If you're going to use the word grooming because you think drag is grooming kids, then so is religion. So is religion. How many fucking kids get raped in fucking religious institutions? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to talk about how like you're spinning an ideology. It's the same fucking thing, bro. I don't know what you want me to tell you. The only difference is there's fucking more happening in religion. Just so you know. Whether you want to believe that or not, it's your fucking problem. Okay? I think that you should be able to teach your kid to be religious, man. I think it's totally fine. There are aspects of every religion that I disagree with. Most of it's like the fucking homophobia. I don't like the homophobia in any religion. It's turned me away from God. But you should still be able to teach your kid. It's your freedom. I think it's wrong, but I wouldn't legislate against it. Right? What do you want me to tell you? The fuck do you want me to tell you, dude? Like, you get everybody. There's a double standard for everything. Everybody wants to have a meltdown. You know what? You're comfortable with conditioning your kids in religion. You're comfortable with conditioning your kids to be a cheerleader. You're comfortable with conditioning your young girl to sexualize herself. Second, it's a young boy, you have a goddamn meltdown. It's the fucking reality, bro. Like, there are things in society that are uncomfortable to you. You don't have to legislate it away from people. Drag isn't going to fucking poison our youth and kill everybody. That's just the reality. I just, frankly, don't give a shit. Okay? There's no LGBTQ narrative that's set to destroy the fucking world. Okay? You want to have a conversation about how, like, there's a ton of young kids identifying as non-binary? That's a different conversation. Drag is really not part of that. Okay? There's legitimately a fucking push on social media for every kid to feel unique. And a lot of kids are identifying as non-binary. Some of them just for trend, just a trend. And then there's a lot of them. There are people who are genuine, but then there's a lot of kids that are misdiagnosing some other fucking issue that they have in their life, some other mental health issue, probably associated with social media presence, where they're always looking on social media, seeing the best of the best in everybody else, because everybody can just show you the best part of their life. They don't get to see the worst part of it, so they compare their own lives, which are mediocre, to these lives that appear great online, because those people posting get to remove all the bad part of their life, and they go, wow, I'm so depressed by association. Okay? And, like, really, like, that, like, you want to talk about that? That's a different conversation. Drag has nothing to do with the fact that, like, there's, like, fucking 20% of youth are starting to identify as, like, non-binary in some capacity. There's clearly an issue going on. And most of them aren't actually trans. They just think that they are. There's so many young kids with body image issues. Why the fuck do you think that is? Because they're seeing, like, a model, especially young girls. Bro, it's a massive uptick in young girls identifying as non-binary in fucking, like, high school, middle school. Why the fuck do you think that is? Because Instagram is, like, basically a fucking beauty pageant. Every goddamn day they go online and they see a bunch of girls that are super attractive. And they're like, I can never be that. And it fucks with their body image. And they don't know what the fuck to do with themselves. We already knew that school was a super toxic space in general. And now it's just getting worse. Yeah, with doctored pictures, unrealistic beauty standards. That's what's happening. A lot of young girls are seeing a bunch of unrealistic beauty standards of, like, what a woman is supposed to be, and it's making them, like, fucking up their body image, and they're, like, identifying in other ways. They're trying to figure out, like, how they can feel comfortable in their own bodies. So you want to blame everything on a goddamn fucking drag queen. Nobody gives a shit. You know how non-normalized it is to do drag? That event was fucking weird as shit, but, like, it's not a normal procedure. It's just like, bro, it's just like, dude. It's fucking crazy. All I'm saying is you're uncomfortable with drag shows. That's fine. I'm uncomfortable. I would go to a drag show because gay people love me. I'd go to a drag show. It's fine. Who gives a shit? I wouldn't want my kids to go there. I wouldn't want my young boy especially to be exposed to drag. Okay? That's just me. It's a prejudice. And you want to cry about it? I don't give a fuck. I'm entitled to my prejudices, as long as I don't discriminate against other people, which I never would. You want to take your kid? I'll think you're weird. Not a big deal. I'm not gonna shit my pants. Non-binary falls into the trans blanket. Jesus Christ. It's like I have to fucking explain everything every day. Anyway. Non-binary falls under, like, the trans blanket. I just want you to know that. It's a very, it's a very large field. It also mean androgynous. I don't know what you're saying. I don't even know why I'm engaging in this conversation, because you're just wrong. It's weird. Like, it probably shouldn't fall under the trans blanket, because people who identify as other genders or have different pronouns they don't experience the same amount of, like, they don't experience the same amount of stress as somebody with gender dysphoria. It's a totally different thing. That's a whole other conversation to have. Either way, you know, personally, I don't think you should take your kids to a drag show. I think drag shows could be a lot of fun. I'm looking to go to one. Wouldn't take my kid. That's because I have a prejudice. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you're upset about it. But I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to go off on some kind of fucking deep-seated conspiracy narrative about how Disney is pushing a fucking gay agenda onto kids by showing them two fucking women kissing. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm just going to be honest with you when I have no fucking logical basis for what I'm saying. Just the way I feel, and I don't give a shit. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout-out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this